it's pull pat. It's connect snap. Connect snap. So for just a second, I'm remembering 40 years of doing that, and for just a second, I'm doing that. Some people, when they're doing this, they're kind of like on this, okay? What you might want to do is, you want to move, but move in a way where you're still in the world. So when I'm rocking her, my sense of my body is one where I can see everybody in the room. My feeling is out like that. I'm not, as soon as I start my technique, my Zanshin doesn't go, and now I'm like fighting this person. Do you follow? So within the movement, there's a feeling. And I think at the more subtle, deeper levels of your martial art, this is where the real essence lies. It's sort of in these sort of perceptions and feelings. So when you move, keep your shoulder relaxed. Just move, very cognitive. And even this person can have a lot of angst, but doesn't necessarily mean I get drawn into their angst. Right. There's self-control, right? Comes in. My movement is the whole thing is just attached to movement. Do you understand what I'm saying? So watch some people, if they go like this, then they stop moving. Now it all of a sudden comes down to my wrist. Me trying to muscle my way through it. Just let your movement be what's doing all the work. Basically, my movement. And I'm attaching my arm to that receiving center. And there's a timing issue. Like if I go too soon, I lose her. If I go too late, we bang. I want to kind of catch her movement. She grabs. And already you can see, just from this little bit of practice, Lauren's moving really well already. Are you seeing that? Mm-hmm. She's not jerky. She's taking the. In Aikido, both people are practicing. So when you land, that heaviness is a part of that punch. So coming off the kick, it's like. So try not to just push your arm out indiscriminately, but be deliberate enough in your movement that you feel that inflection. So without the kick, this is like, and then this is that feeling. Same heaviness. So you want these three pretty definitive inflection points. At the end of the string, you see, your partner's not even there. You're like kind of, the feeling in your body is sort of like through him. This is like, so I'm using my body. I want you to imagine a big rubber band, stretch, snap back. That feeling like that. Instead of striking there, now we're just going to come down like that. So super relaxed. I'm going to do it one time, and then I'm not going to do it again. It's really annoying for you. Okay, so I'm going to make one relaxed strike down, like that. I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do it with the heaviness on it. Then I'm going to strike with the heaviness. Then I'm going to kick with the heaviness. So here. Okay. And then, I see so much about that. So the idea is like you learn a structure to liberate yourself from a structure at some point. So then you own what you want to end up gravitating towards is just a principle. Do you follow? So we learn this, but we don't really expect to do this. You know, someone comes and attacks, there's Gidambarai, there's Shotokan, Uchokan, Shutokan, but I'm not going 1, 2.
Right.
Do you understand? So I would say at some point you get to the edge of the cliff, and you just have to have enough confidence to step, and then start gravitating towards the principle. For instance, when you're making a reverse punch, a lot of times people are thinking about the movement in their arm, but the technique is more initiated through your core. Like if you're making a reverse punch, there's that feeling in your core first. You follow what I'm saying? Yes. That is actually the technique. I think that's actually more a part of the technique than, say, the pushing out of your arm. Like the core movement, that's okay. So when you're making this technique, there are two kind of core movements. The front kick is this feeling. I'm kind of sitting on this, almost like I'm putting my rear end in a chair and kind of kicking forward. The second core movement is this feeling in my body. So if you want to maybe, when you're practicing, kind of think of the core movement, like the hip inflection, kick, okay? Like hip inflection, kick. But it's like, does that make sense? So these inflections in your center are more part of the technique than just the pushing out of your leg. Does that make sense? Give it a try, maybe just think about the very initiation of the technique. Okay. The essence of karate is the feeling, the kimochi, not the shape. The inside thing is the karate. And you just sort of get to it by making a shape that is a hint of what your body should be looking like when it's doing it. But you can't stop there. You have to go to the inside thing. Do you follow? So that the macro thing would be your whole body breathing. And I use that word in a very kind of offbeat way. But that kind of... When I'm punching, it's like... Watch Okinawan karate people, like the older styles, like the older Okinawan styles, they got a lot of stuff in their movement. I mean, their whole body is, it's breathing when they're moving. You see it. Like Goju-ryu, some of those styles, when you watch them, I said, wow, this guy's got a lot happening inside. When they do, forearm conditioning, they got really good connection to their partner. Their weight is on everything, you understand? It's not just flopping around. Out of your belt should be your center. Where is your center? If you draw a line from your navel to the tip of your tailbone, that line as it cuts through your body, the very middle of it is theoretically the place we're talking about. So in that line, if I extend out, it's lower than my belly button, right? Maybe a hand's width. So my knot of my belt is a reminder. Everything comes through that place and goes out from that place. So as I go to step, I'm making an effort to get everything to kind of come in through the knot of my belt. Like, whoa, and then push out from that. Whoa, push out. Even my steps in, snap, out. My kicks come in, snaps out from that. Does that make sense? So when you do it one more time, but this time, not just the shape, but even the inside feeling, compress, expand. Try that. I try to break his structure a little bit. So I'm not pulling with my arm. My arm is now a function of my body and maybe a little step back. Then I'm going to insert this hand in. And then I'm going to press down like I'm shaking out a towel. I'm going to stay connected to my partner. So I'm here. When I turn, it's like, this is the feeling. Like I'm blocking and reaching. So just be careful you don't lumber into it. But essentially, my opponent is to the rear. So I have my awareness is now that direction. Way out that direction, and then I drive through. That's this. Here. That's the feeling. So I make Hidambarai like a rolling pin. That feeling. So it all began for me 53 years ago when a 12-year-old boy walked into a dojo, and I recall distinctly being impressed by what I was witnessing. And certainly it was physically very dynamic, and that was impressive. But what really captivated my attention was this sort of connection, this kind of stillness that I saw in the eyes and actions of the participants. I remember distinctly everyone was standing in a ready stance, and I was sitting off to the side and they were looking to the front, but I was very aware that they were very aware that I was in the room. And even as a young person at 12, I said, wow, this is not only a really dynamic expression of our physicality, but this type of deliberation or attunement almost spoke to a spiritual experience. And I think in today's culture, we're really preoccupied with the utilitarian, the purely utilitarian, and I know that because oftentimes on the YouTube channel, people will say, well, would this work on the street, or why is he attacking with a oitsuki from 9 feet away? And I would argue that it's not simply a fighting science, that what we're looking at is a complete educational system to help you find a greater connection to your own existence at some level. And if that's the case, then I would say that is self-defense, like to totally live connected to the blessing of your life. And lessons learned in the dojo and that state of being as opposed to just doing something is then extrapolated out. So in my journeys and my effort is as a bit of an evangelist to keep that experience alive for the next generation, because I think in today's culture
we feel this kind of disconnect, not just from one another, but the environment, or just our own life experience. And what I would like more than anything is to perpetuate this experience for other people so that they will find as much joy and fulfillment as I have. And as my teacher one time said to me, then the dawn will rise on another tomorrow.